It was a good trip for us. One coming off being swept at home by Fair State, very good Fair State team, and trying to find a way to garner some points here before Christmas. Going to a very difficult building historically for us to win hockey games, and found a way to get a 2-1 win on Friday and got a lead on Saturday and were able to extend it. And so for us, it was a very productive weekend. We had some young guys grow, which we need to continue to have happen this weekend if we're going to have a chance against a very really a team that I think plays to their identity as much as anybody in our league or anywhere in the country with the Beavers. And so hill to climb this weekend, but it's in our building on Thursday and Friday, and we want to try and take advantage of that.
Great. Thanks for that, Mike. Let's take a couple questions from folks joining us via Zoom, beginning with Don Westfall.
Coach, you work in an educational setting, numbers of series, you're pretty much at the halfway point. So what kind of a midterm grade do you give your team?
Oh boy, I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little bit, but if you catch me right now, I'd say, probably a B minus at times, a B plus at times. The group's had some adversity to go through with some of the guys that just haven't been available, and I'm sure that that's a little bit more the norm for everybody in the country. But we've had some guys that haven't been around, Bennett Zamolik, Morton for the last back half of the first half. And we've had some growing pains. But we did assume that was going to happen with the amount of guys that we had that walked out the door, the roles that they played. We've got some other guys that are playing roles that they hadn't been thrust into until this year. And I like the way we're transitioning right now. Again, referencing this last weekend and seeing Fitzgerald have 3 on the weekend, Hillman have 2. Wilson getting in and making an offensive and defensive contribution, seeing Alex Tracy playing a very difficult environment and him having a 6-1 record at this time. Seeing different guys step up at different times, I would say probably a B for where we're at. I think we could have won a few more games, but I also think that there's some opportunities that we took advantage of this last weekend, being one of them, at making sure that we're not too far behind going into this last weekend of the first half.
Kevin Dudley from the Free Press.
Mike Dryden McKay coming back for the game tomorrow. It'll be fun to see him, but I know it and the Hobie happens the day before the national championship, then then it's kind of over, and he doesn't really get to celebrate with the fans. How happy are you that he's got this opportunity now to actually come back, get a break from his pro career here for a little bit, to have this moment with the fans in the building to celebrate this?
Well, for him and for them and his teammates that are still here, I think it's kind of unprecedented. You don't, and this doesn't happen if the Toronto organization doesn't support this, because he's under contract. He's playing pro hockey at this time. So from Minnesota State University, his family, really our fans, I just want to make sure that organization allowing him to come back and be a part of this, to recognize him, to recognize the Hobie Baker Award. The Hobie Baker Award committee has done an unbelievable job at staying diligent, at saying, hey, you know what, we really want to give him an opportunity to be able to enjoy this for what you just said. At the time when it's awarded, there's a lot of other team things that are going on. Was fortunate to be invited to go to the Hobie Baker golf tournament this last year and be around a setting like that where he could be recognized with family, with friends, people that are very important to him, and to be around that was special. So for our crowd, for his teammates, for everybody to be able to be around with him and enjoy this moment for him is going to be outstanding. And so we want to say thank you to the Toronto organization. Also want to say thank you to the Hobie Baker Committee and our university and the people that are trying to help put this together so that he could be honored in this way.
Kevin, do you have a follow-up?
Also, I think another kind of side effect, we haven't talked about Dryden a ton obviously this year, but now that you've had the time to an off season to digest what he did in its totality. Just any more thoughts on Dryden's career and just the staggering amount of awards, team, individual that he achieved in his time.
If there's one word that comes to my mind right away is historic. He took a pen and wrote some history for himself, for our community, for our program, for his family, and really for himself. And so for a young man to go out and do what he did, the way that he did it, how he handled the peaks and the valleys, where there weren't a lot of valleys, but there were a lot of detractors saying, you know what, he can't do it. He's not 6'2", 6'3", as the goaltending world is at this time. And he still found a way to have the impact and, more importantly, the consistency that he did it with. I will tell you, I've been in hockey for a while, and it just dates me, but to think when I first started, not himself, that the Miller shutout record was ever going to be touched, I didn't think it was a possibility. And for him to do that, and for the teams that he was a part of, it's historic. And so it's something that I think he'll be able to remember for the rest of his life. When he walks through the halls here at the arena, he'll be remembered for an awful long time for all of his contributions, both on and off the ice.
Tim Rapoli of Flow Hockey, you must have something to ask Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to change subjects a little bit to the Minnesota rivalry. And, I come from Boston. You got to win the bean pot to get into a national tournament. The boys up in the Upper Peninsula, they got to fight their way out of the Upper Peninsula. Here you are in the state of Minnesota. I look at the pairwise rankings. You're 20. I think they're 26. And this is a good way to put some separation between you and Bemidji in case you're trying to battle for an at-large berth at the NCAA tournament. Is that crossing your mind at all?
You know what? Maybe a little bit later, Tim. Right now, we're fighting for points in our league. We want to put ourselves. One of the goals that we have at the beginning of the year is to get home ice. We're in a battle for that. Another one of the goals is trying to win a league championship. We're in a battle for that. Want to play in the NCAA tournament. We're on the outside looking in right now. So all of that combined with what you're saying is it just, I guess, puts a little bit broader scope and importance when you're playing your rival. Year in and year out, more often than not, we're playing Bemidji at a very important time at the end of the year, deciding those opportunities that I just went over. And so we've got a lot of history with them, going all the way back to Coach Peters, Coach Bros. Tommy and I have been button heads for a long time. Tremendous amount of respect for what they do, how they do it. And if we're going to get points this weekend, Thursday and Friday, I should say, we're going to have to earn them, because that team does not beat itself. They're very difficult out, and it's going to be no different this week.
Don Westfall and then Kevin Dudley to wrap it up.
Coach, the oddity of the Thursday-Friday series, you lose a day of practice, but Coach Salvatore actually, in his talk earlier this week, thought it was actually maybe a good thing. You'd probably wait to make that decision after Friday's game, but just how did it come about, the Thursday-Friday series? A little bit oddity, and just matter to you losing a day of practice, or not a big deal?
Concert in our building. We've got a multi-purpose facility, so when I reached out to Tommy after the facility asked us, hey, we've got an opportunity to host a concert here. We want to be good partners because they've been good partners to us. And so when I reached out to Tom, Tom said sure. And actually at this time, I'll echo Tom. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, the guys want to play games. And so for us to get back, when we get back, get the rest that we've been able to get, and be able to sleep in our bed here for a few days, and then go out and play, it's an opportunity that we're excited about. So to me, losing the one day of practice, maybe from the coaching side, the players, they don't want another practice. They want to go drop the puck and play against Bemidji.
Kevin.
Mike Lucas Sauer, you mentioned, didn't make the trip last weekend. Just wondering if they had his status ahead of tomorrow's game.
Pretty much day to day with him. We're still evaluating where he's at, and I haven't talked to him yet today, but I will as soon as I probably walk out of here, and we'll know a little bit more come Thursday.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. I think that was one of our best weekends of the year, and anytime you can come away on the road with 6 points, it's huge. But I think the big thing is our team took a step in the right direction. Just everyone all the way down the lineup showed our depth and kind of guys going down, the next up man mentality, next guy up mentality, and it was nice to see guys step up and build up into this weekend here before break.
Great, thanks for that. So we've got some people here via Zoom join in, and let's start off with Kevin Dudley from the Free Press.
Cade, I know after Dryden won his Hobie, things happened quick. You guys obviously are playing the national championship the next day. Then, he signed a pro contract, and you kind of don't get to soak that in. Maybe that accomplishment for him. How cool will it be tomorrow to get to have him in the building and to really properly celebrate what he did last season and just his career in general.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something, a very special moment, obviously just for him, but just everyone, the guys who are still on the team who got the chance to play with him and have him back there for a time. I mean, I had him for my 3 years here, and unbelievable goalie, unbelievable guy, someone everyone wanted to be around. It'll definitely be a fun night. I think his family's coming too, so it'll be cool to see them and have them all be a part of it, but I know all the guys are definitely looking forward to that.
Follow up if you have one, Kevin.
Just digesting kind of what he did now that there's been some time away from it, now that it's happened and, it's over. How impressive is just the totality of all his accomplishments in his time here?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable, his all the records, the numbers. I mean, I feel like every weekend there was a new record broken or a new stat, something. I feel like he was goalie of the week every week, but I think it was all deserved. I mean, he put in his work every day at the rink, and one thing I always tell people about him, every day in practice, he was the same goalie you guys saw on the weekends. It's hard to score on, which I think really helped us guys out, challenging us every day. So, I mean, I can't speak highly enough about him, even away from the rink. He's just an awesome guy everyone wants to be around. So, special player, special person.
Tim Rapoli from Flow Hockey, do you have a question for Cade?
Yeah, Kate, last weekend's sweep, impressive in a lot of periods, but it was the second period. I was in a rival rink, and we all looked at the shots on goal in your second period in the first game, 24-5. Did that epitomize, the work ethic, the forecheck, the total puck possession and dominance? Describe that period to some of our readers.
Yeah, I mean, I think those numbers kind of explains it. I think one thing our scoring's been down a little bit, and so guys are just trying to get pucks more to the net. I mean, there's no really a bad shot especially when pucks aren't going in like you want them to. There's not a bad shot, so I think guys were just, the forecheck was a little better, and I think guys were just funneling pucks to the net whenever they could, and the pucks were finally going in a little bit.
Follow-up chance here if you would like, Tim.
No, I'm good.
Don Westfall, do you want to chime in?
Power play. You guys seem to be starting to reconnect. Obviously, losing Morton off of that is stinging. Probably took a little bit of time in practice, but talk just about where you guys, as a unit, feel where the power play is at right now, because it seems to start to be connecting again.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think it's starting to connect a little bit here, and guys have gone down, but I think that's something that's really stood out to me about this team. It's just the next man up mentality, and guys have been filling in spots, and I think they've been doing a good job. And I think recently, even when we're not scoring, we're getting opportunities, and I think that can build up momentum, even if you're not scoring, getting a chance or just getting the legs going, getting the momentum going. And I think we've been going in the right direction here.
Final question to Kevin Dudley of the Free Press, if you have one, Kev.
Kate, you mentioned the scoring being down. I know that you guys were out shooting teams by so much, so consistently throughout that Paris series, and it just seemed like between puck luck and maybe not ideal finishing, it just wasn't going in. Having 6 go in like happened Saturday at BG, do you feel like sometimes when you start to really see it happen, and it does happen, that confidence can come back and the floodgates could open and it might be easier for more to come now?
Yeah, I do. I think it's confidence, and when you have a weekend like that or a night like that where the pucks are going in, I think it builds into the week of practice. I think this week's been awesome so far. It's been a little weird, the short week, but the energy's been good. And I think, yeah, anytime you can get 6 like that, especially on the road, it's definitely momentum. And I think hopefully that just keeps going. And, yeah, like you said, the floodgates opened up, and hopefully just we ride with it.